All right, what is happening, guys? I am back again today with another training session as usual. This is my session from Saturday. Like I said, I'm a few days behind now, but I'm getting caught up this week. Just had a busy fucking week last week. But this is hamstring session, hamstring focused legs. Technically do some quad work this session as well, obviously. But total session time, hour and 24 minutes. Slowed down this session a lot. This is one of my longer sessions anyway, just because I have my RDLs on this day, which I take a really fucking long rest period. Even though it's just 2 sets, it always takes me a while to recover between those and after those. But starting out here, prone, lying hamstring curl, whatever you want to call it. This was a really good movement today. You can kind of see from the way my body is moving here, I took a weight decrease. I think my top set last week was like 140 and I hit it for like 10 reps. I went down to 110. Huge decrease just to reset the form here because I felt like I was getting to the point where I was just not really having a good connection with the muscle, swinging a little bit too much, wanted to kind of reset to a baseline and continue to progress from a point of better form. So I dropped that one top set down from 140 to 110. And then all 4 of these total sets today were at 110. I kept the other 3 sets at 110 as well. I think last week it was like 140, 120, 110, 110. This week it was just 110 all the way through. But total volume increased because we hit rep PRs. So goal here is 8 to 12, and I hit 110 for 14, 13, 10, and 10. Weight is going to go up this week on that first set and the second set, just very slightly though. I'm not going to be trying to push these weights crazy high up. You know, this is one of the movements where I tend to try to kind of fuck with the form a little bit, just fall out of form just because it's very easy to start kind of swinging these. And I want to make sure, you know, since hamstrings are an area I need development in, that I am really focusing on keeping the form good here, keeping the mind-muscle connection good, making sure I'm actually connecting through the entire movement really well. Moving into my RDLs for the day. Barbell RDL, rep goal 8 to 12. Took a weight increase here. 325 on the bar for both sets. The reason I went up on the second set is because this weight just felt fucking easy this week. This was a piece of cake for me. These felt really good today. So 325 for 12 and then 325 for 10. Next week, we will go up to 335 on that top set. Might go up to 335 on the second set too, if it feels good on the top set, right? It kind of, you know, that second set, I kind of gauge how I'm going to progress it, if I'm going to move the weight at all, depending on how the top set feels. If the top set feels like it moves fine, if I hit the high end of the rep range and it's all going really well, that second set will probably go up too. If that top set, you know, I don't max out my reps on it in the rep range, I only hit 10 or something, it feels a little grindy, then I'll back down on that second set, right? I don't need to progress them both every day, but that second set is very dependent on how the first set performs and how rather I perform in the first set and how it feels. But yeah, today these felt good. Honestly, this whole session felt great. This was a really good session through and through. This was like my easiest session of the week last week, which is honestly awesome to feel because it's one of my harder days, you know, with a lot of leg dedicated work and these RDLs being a heavy movement. It is a harder day for me, but it felt really good. So I was super happy with this, super happy with the progressions, really happy this day felt as good as it did. And now we're going to go into the single leg press where I also took a big weight progression. Took a 20-pound weight increase on this, which was huge, I know, but I was doing my warm-ups. I just cut them out here, but you know, I had like one plate on there and I'm like, this feels ridiculously light this week. We're going way up. And it was definitely worth it because I hit 180 for 17 and then 180 for 15. Remember, my rep goal here is 12 to 15, so we fucking killed the rep goal, even with a 20-pound weight increase. So this also goes up next week. I feel like with this movement, I think I finally found the foot positioning that really works well for me and makes the most sense for me, just from, you know, my own body's kind of how it works for me. There's a word I'm looking for here. Physiology. Based on my physiology, I found what works for me, and that's having a slightly elevated foot placement on that top part of the platform here where my toes are kind of breaking over that platform break and keeping my knee and my foot just outside the midline rather than closer to that midline. because it allows me and my kind of hip structure to bring my leg further back around my torso rather than feeling like I'm kind of maxing out how far I can come back and hitting my chest. So this felt really good. I've figured out what works for me here. This is locked in. Obviously a huge progression this week. I mean, 20 pounds on a single leg is a 40-pound overall progression in my mind. So this was awesome. Really happy with how this turned out today. Probably my most improved movement this week. Not one of my most improved overall. Well, actually, maybe it is one of my most improved overall. I will say it probably is because my knees, I've had issues with them in the past. We're beyond that. I've not had issues with them for quite a while now. But now that my knees are like fully 110% recovered again, these movements are really progressing as they should be. I don't want to say they're flying up in progress. This week, obviously it did. But now they're really starting to click and move up like they need to be. And this was definitely a session I noticed that too, because my quads were very sore after this. And I normally don't get a lot of soreness session to session. That's just something that, doing the same movements for the long time, knowing how my routine's laid out, I just don't really feel sore after sessions, maybe a little bit, but not like this crazy amount. But this session, I felt it the next day. The only time I'm really actually sore during the week is usually after my push day, and I just attribute that to the fact that we're not working my chest over multiple days. I only have 1 day per week, so by the time my body gets back to it, it's a lot of work for it within that just 1 week, one session per week. So every week, yeah, my chest is pretty sore after my push session, but that's really the only day I typically notice anything, again, unless I just have something really click and the work was far more than what I would usually do over the past session or the previous session, like with this single leg press today. So yeah, not a whole lot more to say about the movement here, but I will say that on top of my training sessions, I'm going to start putting out some more videos for PEDs, kind of my philosophy towards them, how to approach them, some educational content, some diet content. I think I'm going to do like a full day of eating video sometime this week, hopefully. So you guys can kind of see what I'm eating day to day in this off season, and just some more stuff like that. I think that that'll be an enjoyable kind of break from the training stuff. I'm still going to upload the training content, but that will just be on top of it, right? And then moving into adductors here before I get too far off track. This was, I think I took progress. Actually, this was the same weight. This was the same weight here today. These I've kept the same on weight for a couple weeks now. Rep goal is 10 to 15, 3 sets. Did 170 for 16, 130 for 15, and 130 for 12. That was a rep match on the top set. Everything was the same, weight and reps on the top set and the second set. Third set, I gained 1 rep. So we really didn't gain a whole lot here this week, but you have to remember my adductors were getting worked a little bit more intensely because of the weight increase that I took on the single leg press. So it translates into a little less capacity to continue to push this up, right? And that's something I've touched on the past few videos. Not every movement is going to progress every session because there's other factors within that session that are going to affect your work capacity on any given movement. You're not necessarily going to be able to go all out on your, adductors every session because your prior leg work, which recruits a lot of adductor in it, will affect your capacity to perform on your adductor dedicated work, right? And that's just using adductors as the obvious example here, but overall, progress is good. As long as you're progressing within a session to some extent, that's what we want to see, and that's what happened here today. Good progress across the session. In fact, great progress across this entire session, across this entire week, really. The changes to the routine we made this last week really set me up for success here. Having my back days after my rest days now feels very good to me. I thought it would affect my leg days really negatively. I thought it would have a really big negative impact, but it hasn't actually had that crazy of an impact. I noticed, having to do a little bit less volume on my mixed leg day, which is, earlier in the week, but honestly, I think it's something I'll adjust to just within a few weeks, and it really didn't seem like that big of an impact. So I'm super happy with that because it has definitely improved my back training and how it feels with my back in general, how I'm connecting with it, right? And moving into the last movement for today, toe press calf raise on the leg press, 12 to 20 rep goal. Took a weight increase of I think 20 pounds here. Honestly, I probably didn't need to, but I was like, man, I don't want to put 6 little fucking plates on the side of this thing. I'm just going to go up 20 pounds instead of 10 so I can use another 45 because we got 5 on there now. So 450 for 20 reps and then 450 for 15 reps. The weight will stay the same on this next week. I want to hit 22 before I up the weight at all. So the weight is going to stay the same on both of these sets. I think I only got one set in the video here today because my camera, as usual, died. I need to get another battery for this thing because it's getting to the point where now that my sessions are getting so long, I have to start, I'm going to be recording for longer, right? But yeah, that is going to be it for today, guys. Short and sweet session. Hope you guys enjoyed, like always. Like I said, there will be a ton of new content coming out with lots of different stuff other than training, so look forward to that. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below what you want to see in that future content. And until next time, guys, take it easy.